Good morning, Alabama football fans. Stacey Blackwood, Jake Thomas here with Biscuits with Bama, powered by Tide Talk Live on a beautiful Saturday morning here in Alabama as Alabama gets prepared to take on the LSU Tigers tonight from inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're going to be here this morning to discuss the game, the matchup, what to watch for, all that good stuff here on our preview show. And we're so glad that you're going to be joining us this morning. Jake, how you doing, buddy? I cannot wait for 6:45 to get here.
I know, man. I'm excited. I've been excited all week, and me and you both been kind of busy this week, so we have not even talked about. The only thing we really touched on was like Biscuits by Bama. 9 o'clock Saturday morning. That's all we've talked about this game. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts about it here, and I'm sure you're interested to hear my thoughts about it, and of course hear what the chat has to say as well. But man, I'm excited. It got a lot of football in between. From now until 6:45 to watch. We'll go through the SEC slate before we get kicked off, but a lot of football today. I'm excited, man. Let's just get rolling,
dude. No doubt about it. It's my wife. She just asked me a minute ago. She goes, "Is it at 2:30?" I'm like, "No, it's at 6:45." She's like, "Oh my gosh!" It's just we're not a fan of late games around here. First of all, me and Jake do the Bleacher Report live stream and the post game, so that's going to be like at 10:30, and so we like to go to bed early around here. So not looking forward to it being at night, but looking forward to the game itself. Going to be a lot of fun to discuss the matchup. What an intriguing matchup, Jake. Strength on strength. You could almost say weakness on weakness when Alabama has the football and LSU's defense is on the field. But we're going to dive into all that here shortly. But do please like, share, and subscribe to our channel today. We're getting close to 2,800 subscribers on our channel. Help us get to 3,000, then to 4,000, then to 5,000. There's no reason we cannot get to 10,000 subscribers on our channel. I know that sounds like a lofty goal, but there is Alabama fans across the country, across the world, really. So if you're an Alabama fan, please subscribe to this channel and share our channel with your Alabama friends as well, or SEC football fans around the world as well, because we do talk some SEC football. And in fact, that's what we're going to do to start with, Jake. We're going to look around the league today at some of these matchups, and I got to get them put up on my phone. I was not prepared for that. I forgot about that. But a lot of good games today, really. I mean, Missouri and Georgia really jumps out to me outside of Alabama, LSU. But there's going to be some interesting matchups today. Jake, I guess, which matchup outside of LSU, Alabama has you most excited?
I'm going to pick two. Of course, the Missouri-Georgia game, that really intrigues me. A lot of people thought Florida could be a team that could challenge Georgia last week. I kind of thought that Florida would put up a little bit better numbers than what they did. Georgia's a really elite team. Missouri last year gave Georgia a scare, and it was at their home. Now they're playing at Georgia, but that Missouri team last year's got another year of experience. Brady Cook is a really good quarterback. I think he's a lot better than Graham Mertz, and then Luther Burden III is just an elite outside wide receiver. So Missouri can they stop Georgia? I guess that's going to be the key of the game. I feel like they'll probably score. They could probably score 24-28, but Georgia probably win like 35-40, but I think they can hang with them for a half, and then probably Georgia's just elite talent just takes over in the second half. And then the other matchup, man, and I hate to say this because I love Shane Beamer, but that Jacksonville State, South Carolina matchup, it looks a little like, oh man, Jacksonville State's going to come up here and get the upset. I mean, I don't know what's gotten into South Carolina this year. They're just playing terribly right now. And I really like Shane Beamer. I thought they was going to have another 8-win season this year, but that's not going to happen. And now you got Rich Rod, who's bringing in Jacksonville State. And I think this is their first year in Division I, and they look really, really solid. So, I got my eyes on that one as well, because that could be a big upset today.
Yeah, there's some – there's not a lot of great matchups, but there's a lot of interesting matchups today. I mean, you look at Texas A&M and Ole Miss as well, Jake. A&M needs this win big time, but Ole Miss is still fighting for the SEC West. I mean, there's a lot on the line in this game. Jimbo's maybe coaching for his job. Lane Kiffin's coaching for a chance to represent the West in the SEC championship game. So There's a lot on the line there. It's a great matchup because it's Lane Kiffin's offense against that great Texas A&M defense.
Mm-hmm.
But can A&M muster up enough offense to score on Pete Gold and that Ole Miss defense? So an interesting one there happening, I believe, in Oxford this afternoon. So that's going to be a good one. You mentioned the Jacksonville State, South Carolina game, Jake. Look, I just feel like Jacksonville State's going to win.
I know.
I just have not seen enough out of South Carolina to have confidence in them. Like you mentioned, Rich Rod has Jacksonville State playing really good right now. How long is it going to be before Rich Rodriguez gets another high-profile job in college football? So that game is going to be fun. And then Auburn at Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds crazy, but that series is knotted up.
Tied. I mean,
that's just wild to me, Jake. For whatever reason, Vanderbilt has been Auburn's kryptonite in the SEC.
Yeah. Does Vandy have a winning record against or a tied record against anybody in the SEC? Maybe Missouri. I'm not sure.
I don't know for a fact, but
yeah.
I would assume not.
If they beat Auburn, oh my God, that would just be an icing on the cake to end the day.
It really would be, but I just can't. Vanderbilt's so bad. They're so bad. And as bad as Auburn is, they did find some offense last weekend against Mississippi State. Of course, I don't know who hasn't this year, but
yeah.
Besides Arkansas.
Right.
Golly, that was like the worst football game I've ever seen in my life.
That was a good napping game.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good day around the SEC. Not great, outside of Missouri, Georgia, and Alabama. LSU, it's just some interesting matchups and nothing just insane. But as far as that Georgia-Missouri matchup, Jake, look, the College Football Playoff Committee, just gave Georgia all the motivation they needed.
Right. Yeah.
So, honestly, I kind of feel bad for Missouri.
I do too.
Missouri kept it close last year up in Columbia. This game's in Athens. Georgia's going to play with an edge, I believe, and I'll be surprised if Georgia doesn't win by multiple touchdowns. Just my honest opinion.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. And talking about that playoff committee, I made the comment on SEC at the Dart the other night. I told the committee, I said, don't ever say that strength of schedule matters, to you, because obviously it doesn't. Because Ohio State and Michigan have played nobody pretty much. And Georgia, I think strength of schedule is like in the top 10, and they put them at 2.
No, Georgia is like both Georgia and Michigan are in the hundreds in strength of schedule.
So, I just don't understand. It just makes no sense. But anyway, maybe that'll get resolved next year.
Yeah, the rankings are so weird right now because there's so much unknown. But, just going by the rankings, if Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country, then there is not a great team in the country. There's just not.
There's not.
Because I've watched 4 or 5 Ohio State games this year. And, look, they got a lot of good players. There's no doubt. They're good defensively.
Yeah.
But they're a lot like Alabama as far as they're just very inconsistent on offense.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I would take our quarterback, Jalen Milroe, over McCord at Ohio State.
I agree.
So if Ohio State's the team, if Ohio State is the goal for this season, then if you're an Alabama fan, an LSU fan, then I think you got Ole Miss fan. I think you got to be optimistic about your chances.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
With all the stuff going on with Michigan right now, I mean, it's just it's so wild. Like I want to talk about that for just a second. I mean, I don't want to pretend like I know all the details, but let's just say, for instance, Jim Harbaugh had no idea. That's not a good answer either.
No, it's not.
I mean, if you're that out of touch with reality and what's going on with your program, then you probably have a lot of other issues as well.
Yeah, this almost feels like this, he's going about it kind of like Joe Paterno did with all that stuff going on in Michigan. Joe Paterno said, well, I don't know what's going on, but the head coach is over the athletic, the football team and the staff. So, you've got to be involved in everything that's going on, and you got to have a know of what's going on inside your program. Yeah. So it just feels like Harbaugh knows what's going on, and he's just trying to minimize, the damage on himself. But who knows?
Yeah, being ignorant about something like that is not an excuse.
No,
That's
No.
that that's as the NCAA when they used to hand out bowl bans and stuff back in the day. They would
Yeah.
say lack of institutional control.
Right. Yes.
Remember that phrase? That was
Yeah.
a very popular phrase back in the day, and it seems like that's what's going on in Michigan right now. So, all right, guys. Good to have everybody in the chat, by the way. Ronnie, Above Average Joe, Ben, good to have y'all guys in the chat. Please drop any questions, comments, concerns there in the chat as well. And we look forward to hearing from you there. Jake, let's just go ahead and get in this game.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste any more time.
That's why everybody's here, honestly.
Yeah, that's why everybody's here. We usually look at different things as we prepare for this game. And I guess offensively, Jake, what is the key?
I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Jim Harbaugh knows and keeps pushing the envelope. The NCAA has no back. Yeah.
And they haven't had no backbone forever.
Yeah, it's been a while since the NCAA has had any kind of backbone or even say so. I believe it's going to be left up to the Big Ten in this situation.
I agree. Yep.
And I have a friend that's, I say a friend, a colleague that's a Michigan guy, and he believes that there could be something announced on Monday.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So just food for thought over the weekend. But all right, Jake, LSU at Alabama, 6:45 from inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Jake, I'll be honest with you, this is my favorite game every year.
Mm-hmm.
And simply because the West is usually on the line. I mean, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Both these teams have a lot of talented players. Alabama and LSU basically recruit the same kids every single recruiting cycle. It's just so much fun. It's really developed into a great rivalry. So before we get into score predictions and all that, we want to look at the game and kind of dissect it and preview it. Jake, offensively, when Alabama has the football, what is the key to victory?
I think I've said this like every single year or every single week, but it remains true. But whether we run our offense, we've got to establish the run, and we've got to run consistently. And the second half of we really haven't looked at the Tennessee game from a few weeks ago. Besides our preview show, because like I said, both of us have been kind of busy here lately, so we really haven't talked much. But I've gone back and watched that game. And I may have texted you about it, off the record and off the show, but I really felt like that was the best the offensive line has looked all year. I mean, I think we only gave up like 3 sacks the entire game. I mean, and I think maybe 1 or 2 of those was on Milroe for trying to make something happen. He still got to work on that, but that was the best that the offensive line has looked all game or all year. They need to look like that again, today and tonight, because, regardless of where Harold Perkins, is lined up at, he's going to give this offensive line fits. But I feel like if we run the ball consistently, that it opens up the passing game. And Milroe needs to hit the short passes when they are there. We can't be in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 situations. We need to be in 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. That way we have some success moving the ball and keeping the chains going forward, because 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, we kind of struggle on those. We need to keep it within reason and keep the chains moving.
No doubt about it, Jake. It all starts up front with that offensive line. They've shown a lot of improvement. I know people that second half Tennessee, and really the offensive line played pretty well the entire 60 minutes against Tennessee. But especially in the second half, when Alabama started gaining some momentum offensively, they were pushing folks around. They were creating running lanes. They were protecting Milroe. So it was just a really good performance. I've watched that game like 3 times now, and I was really impressed with the way the offensive line played. And I don't know if we mentioned it in our instant reaction show, Jake, but if you remember, Jaden Roberts went down in the first half against Tennessee. And dude, that dude's a dog. He come back, played his rear end off in that second half. And he is a bulldozer in the run game. He does a really good job in pass protection, which kind of surprised me, if I'm being completely honest. He has been a welcome addition to this offensive line since going back to the A&M game. So Jaden Roberts, I think, when we look back on the season on the offensive line, he could kind of be that X factor for that unit. Right. So Just want to kind of give him some love because I think his addition to the starting lineup on the offensive line has made a difference. And I'm excited to see how they continue to grow and develop. And Jake, every week, every Friday on Roll Tide Wire for USA Today, I write keys to victory, and it's just for the Alabama offense, what they kind of need to do offensively to be successful in that game. And this week, Jake, I mentioned a few things. I think they need to involve Amari Niblack.
You're right.
Especially in the red zone. Utilize his size and his athleticism in the red zone to take advantage of that weak LSU secondary in the red zone and come away with some touchdowns. I think they need to use and give touches to Kendrick Law as much as possible. I think he could be a real X factor, a Debo Samuel type player for this Alabama offense. If they can do that, give him, it kind of changes things up. It makes the defensive eyes move a lot more when you send him in jet sweeps or send him in motion. So utilize and use Kendrick Law as well. You mentioned the offensive line. They have to play physical. They have to move the line of scrimmage. They have to create rushing lanes for Jace McClellan, Rodell Williams. They have to be able to protect Jalen Milroe. And I think, Jake, they need to protect the football in this game. You cannot give Jaden Daniels and this explosive LSU offense extra possessions in this game.
Right.
A punt is not a bad thing, but you cannot give LSU the ball in plus territory and expect this defense to hold up over 4 quarters. So you have to protect the football at all costs. So I think, like you mentioned, if they can run the football, utilize Amari Niblack in the red zone situation and also get Kendrick Law some touches, 4 to 5 touches in this game, whether it's as a receiver or in jet sweep, as a running back potentially. I think you can kind of keep this LSU defense off balance. By the way, this LSU defense is allowing 4.6 yards per carry.
Wow.
That is a massive number.
Yeah,
Jake, if Alabama can average 4.6 yards a carry in this game against LSU, they're going to win the football game because they're going to run it a ton. They'll run it for 250 yards, and Jaden Daniels won't have the ball but about 15 minutes in the game. So if they can run the football, I think you have to be confident if you're an Alabama football fan.
Yeah, I really feel like this is the game where we get the offense rolling early with running the ball, and I think we stick to it. We've seen the runs be there early on, and and then we just quit running for some reason. I don't know. It's the game plan, or I just don't know. But I feel like Saban has talked all week about how he's got a good game plan set, and for this game. He just got to have the guys go out there and execute. And that's really everything, honestly. It's about execution. The guys go out, believe in it, go out and execute tonight. There's no doubt Alabama wins this game. We just got to go out there and do it. And I feel like Reese is going to have some tricks up his sleeves tonight that he's going to use that we hadn't seen yet. So I feel like he's got a big game coming on.
That's one reason I mentioned Kendrick Law. I mean, he's a guy who has such a unique skill set, Jake. He's obviously, he plays receiver for Alabama, but he's built like a running back, 5'11", 6 foot, about 210 pounds. He has great vision, great balance, a great burst at the line of scrimmage. So just getting him, I think Alabama's going to find ways to get him touches. And that's going to keep this defense kind of guessing for LSU tonight. And look, I mentioned in the Tennessee game, and they done this in the second half. James Pierce, Tennessee's great edge rusher, not the biggest guy in the world. Run right at him. That's what they done.
Yep.
Same thing with Harold Perkins, Jake. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He is a great football player. No question about it. Run right at him.
Yep. That's right.
Run right at him. Get behind J.C. Latham. Get behind Caden Proctor and run right at him.
Yep.
Don't let him dictate the game. You dictate the game by running right at him and making his quit.
Yep, exactly. Speaking of those matchups, I'm going to go ahead and preview and just say this, but I have an interesting bold prediction for this game tonight. So get ready for that.
All right, Jake, let's flip to the other side of the football, which is obviously going to be paramount in this game, Jake.
Right.
Defensively for Alabama, this is going to be their biggest test of the season. I think even if they make it to the college football playoff, this is the biggest test defensively for this team. Jaden Daniels, to me, has played the best of any quarterback in the country this season.
Yep.
They have the best wide receiver duo in the country in Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. They have a really good rushing attack. I think they're averaging over 200 yards a game on the ground. So, look, this is a great challenge for Kevin Steele and his defensive unit. What are the keys to victory for them this week, Jake?
Obviously, is you've got to contain Jaden Daniels. He really didn't do much until late in the fourth quarter last year against Alabama, running especially, and we just let him run all over us in that last drive, and then in overtime. But I feel like we keep him contained, and I'm not really worried about the outside receivers because we have two outstanding corners that can cover and keep those guys in check. And I think Arnold is back in this game. I think he cleared protocol because concussion protocol, so he'll be back. But even Amos, when he stepped in last week, he played really well. Or 2 weeks ago, he played really well. So I'm not really worried about their threats outside. That they're going to get their chances. I just feel like this team runs and plays through Jaden Daniels. So if you contain him and don't let him have the explosive plays as we call it, I think we can win this game and keep their offense in check.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you. And I think one way you can contain Jaden Daniels or limit the opportunities that he has to make explosive plays is they have to play well on first and second down defensively, Jake. They have to be able to stop that run. Mm-hmm. Logan Diggs, I think, is a very underrated back for them. And I believe he's averaging like 6.4 yards a carry this season. So Alabama needs to play good first down defense, especially against the run. Limit what they do in the ground game so LSU is not in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, and then you don't know if they're running or passing.
Right.
So if they can avoid those type situations, it's going to give that defense a better opportunity to have success against them. And I'm with you, Jake. I think, despite how excellent they are at receiver, Alabama has a lot of good defensive backs. But what worries me is that they're going to put a lot of motion in the game, and maybe a Jalen Key or even a Malachi Moore is matched up on Malik Neighbors, and that's not a good matchup for us,
right.
Because Malik Neighbors can move. So it's going to be about how they use motion to create mismatches, and it's going to be interesting to see, what the plan is in the back end of that defense to kind of limit those explosive plays and not get in those unfortunate mismatches with, a safety on Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas.
Yeah. So we got an interesting question here. Corey, I grew up with him, went to school with him. He's a Florida Gators fan, but thank you for joining today. But what's your thoughts on, I haven't heard officially.
I haven't heard that he's not returning punts anymore.
I haven't either. I do know that Isaiah Bond did come out and say you may see me soon back there.
Yeah.
Nothing's been official,
Right. Yeah. I mean, if it was announced officially, I just somehow missed that. But he lost Alabama like 60 yards of field position against Tennessee.
I know exactly, and I love this right here, Ronnie. I think this is key. Being this late in the season, and we are pretty much. Nearly 100% healthy is
there's Alabama has no injuries entering this matchup.
Incredible. That's
fortunate. Fortunate.
And a lot of people was kind of made comments about the strength and conditioning of the team with all the injuries, kind of like last year and all that. But this year, man, I know they've had a couple of guys who's been banged up, but not have anybody who has a torn ACL or a broken ankle or a messed up shoulder this late into the season, that's incredible. So Alabama being 100% healthy, coming into this game, that's huge because, like you said, Ronnie, we're 3 deep, especially defensively. We're 3 deep everywhere, and coming into this game, that's huge. So, Ben Ross said
Corey's saying it's official. I'm really? Trying to check.
Okay. Ben Ross said the biggest test for the defense is to not playing with total discipline on defense tonight is key. One thing while Stacey's looking at that, one thing we haven't really touched on about that Tennessee game is one, and what I'm talking about is one penalty the entire game. We talk about discipline, Ben. We got to be disciplined tonight as well. We cannot have 8 to 10, 12 penalties in this game tonight and even have a remote chance to win. We've got to play within ourselves. So I believe that is that's a good point about being disciplined tonight.
Yeah, especially in the back end of the defense. You gotta play with great eye discipline. And what I do like about this defense, Jake, is the defensive front has been playing so well lately.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Smith, Justin Aboybe,
Aboybe
Jamarian
had his
Latham.
Aboybe had his best game 2 weeks ago.
I mean, Aboybe
Yeah.
is playing like I mean, he's all SEC caliber right now.
He is. He's
So
amazing.
I'm really impressed the way he's played, and he's playing like we thought he could play a couple of years ago. But he has been banged up a lot. But yeah, I mean, Jaheim Otis is playing well. Tim Keenan. So I think linebacker play is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Jahad Campbell, Trez Marshall, Deontay Lawson, how those guys play, because I'm sure somebody's going to be spying Jaden Daniels throughout the contest. Maybe not every play, but a play here, player there. So that'll be interesting to see as well. But got to play good. Got to play good in the pass rush too, Jake. And you can't allow Daniels to escape. You just can't. It's going to happen a time or two, but you can't allow it to happen in crunch time like they did last year.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. And that's what I was going to bring up is if you do a all-out blitz on like 3rd and 8 or whatever, where you're sending every linebacker and all that, you've got to make sure you get him down to the ground. Don't let him escape the pocket, because we know what he can do with his legs. But we talked about it on the post game show a few weeks ago. We really didn't game plan for Joe Milton to run the ball like he did, because I mean, they haven't really shown that with him this year. He's been more of a pocket passer, throw the ball. But in this game leading up to this, I guarantee we have been working with him escaping the pocket and running, because that's part of his game. That's part of Jaden Daniels' game, is run, get out of the pocket, and make plays when he has to. So I think we have game plan for that. And as Saban said, he's got a good game plan. Hopefully both offense and defensively. And man, I'm ready for this game. This is I'm excited.
Yeah, and I want to say this, Jake. I don't know if folks remember this or not, but 2019, when LSU had Joe Burrow and that elite offense, do you know what defense held them to their lowest point total of the season?
It's Alabama's, wasn't it?
Nope. No, they ran all over us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was Kevin Steele when he was the defensive coordinator at Auburn.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that's relevant to the day. I'm just saying that Kevin Steele just somehow finds a way to put good game plans together.
Absolutely.
So, I'm not saying they're going to hold them to their lowest point total of the season, but I'm saying if anybody can do it, it's Kevin Steele and it's Alabama defense.
Right. Yeah.
And I want to make a point. I joined Blake Rufino of AYS on Wednesday night. He's an LSU guy on his show, and he's been warning LSU fans all week. Now he thinks LSU is going to win. Obviously, he's an LSU guy, but he warned LSU fans not to underestimate this Alabama team. He said because they could just as easily be undefeated as they are 7-1. He said he went back to that Texas game. He said, look, y'all led going into the fourth quarter, and y'all had 2 touchdowns called back on ticky-tack calls. He
Absolutely.
said, this is a good Alabama football team. So he just thinks that there's fans out there that are kind of questioning how good this Alabama team is, and that they're really just a couple plays away from being undefeated. And if they're undefeated, Jake, they're the number 1 team in the country right now, because their strength of schedule is like 6th or 8th in the country.
Yeah.
So, so I think there are some LSU fans that realize that this team is better than their 7-1 record, but I would also argue that LSU is better than their 6-2 record.
Yeah, going off of that, Stacey, all week I've been saying this to people who's talking about the game. If you look at pretty much every program and every football team at this point in the year, what you have with that said football team. You know what Georgia has. You know what Oklahoma has. You know what Texas has. Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, all of them. Alabama, you still don't know what we have, especially offensively. Defense, we know we're really, really good defensively. Offensively, because we don't know what we have yet, because we have not put full 4 quarters together yet this year. So we don't know how good we can be offensively, and it's this late in the season. But all the other teams, you can say, okay, you know what they have. This is what they have, and that's it. Alabama, especially offensively, you don't know how good they can be. And I think that's really scary moving forward for college football. I think this team was continue to develop in each and every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm. Yeah.
Tyler says, "Hey, Tyler, thanks for joining. I'm an LSU fan. I got Bama winning, but watch out, Daniel's on a mission." Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
dude,
I
look, I've been
yeah,
hyping Jaden Daniels all
yeah.
season. I mean, I think he's the best quarterback in the country.
I don't care if they have 3 losses, even if y'all do win this game or lose it, he should be the Heisman favorite right now.
He is the best. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
look, that dude is unreal.
He is.
He is playing lights out right now.
Yep.
Yeah, in this,
Yeah.
they're very they're mirror images of one another,
Right.
and the fact that they both suffered September losses,
Mm-hmm.
but they've just gotten better each and every week. They're
Right.
playing some of their best football right now, entering this matchup. It's just a clash of SEC West Titans, and I'll be honest with you, the whole conference expansion thing. This is what upsets me about it the most.
I know.
Is now and playoff expansion. Jake,
Mm-hmm.
next year, the Alabama LSU game, if both teams enter at 7-1, 6-2, whatever,
It's irrelevant.
it's irrelevant who wins.
Because they're both of them probably going to be in the 12 and win the 12 teams.
It's irrelevant.
It is. It's crazy.
Irrelevance may be a strong word, but it ain't got the feeling it's got right now. Jake, it is a must win, especially for LSU.
Yeah.
LSU's got to win it. They can't suffer 3 losses and get in.
Right.
But Jake, Alabama, they have a little bit of wiggle room because they don't have a conference loss yet.
Mm-hmm.
But Jake, a win tonight against LSU, and I think the rest of the country kind of comes around and sees, hey, Nick Saban, Alabama's not done yet.
No,
they're not done yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tyler says he wants to see Bama versus Georgia. Yeah, I think, man, I don't want to get put the cart before the horse, but that would be that Alabama and Georgia this season would be such a fun game.
Yeah, it would. I agree.
Bob JP says this would be the best game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Winner take all game. Well, Ronnie, I agree with what you're saying. There would be a 3-way tie.
Mm-hmm.
And they would all have a win against the other team. Alabama owns the head-to-head against Ole Miss. Ole Miss owns the head-to-head against LSU. And if LSU wins tonight, LSU would hold the head-to-head against Alabama. So it's not a winner-take-all thing because Alabama still has 2 conference games remaining. Ole Miss has to – they play A&M today. They play Georgia next week.
Mm-hmm.
LSU still has A&M coming up. So there's a lot of football left. Is what I'm trying to get to. And
that LSU A&M game, it don't matter how bad each team is or how good the other team is. It's always a weird game. So anything can happen in that game.
Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier about putting together a 60-minute game. And Jake, and you mentioned as well, Jake, if Alabama puts a full game like they did in that second half against Tennessee,
mm-hmm.
when they play like that, they're as good as anybody, if not the best team.
Right.
Because the running game was on point. Milroe was making plays with his legs and his arm.
Mm-hmm.
The defense was just suffocating. They're really, when they're good, Jake, they're good.
Yep. They are. And they still got talent everywhere. It's just
and depth, Jake.
Yes.
Depth at every position. They're so deep.
And it's just mental. It's just mental with this team.
And Saban's talked about that. He talked about it on Hey Coach. He says, somebody asked about, slow starts or whatever, not playing a full 60 minutes. And he's like, it's just about having the mindset that you're going to go out there and be your best all the time and play with the type of intensity that it takes to put together a 60-minute performance. So, like you said, Jake, it's a mental game. I mean, it's talent-wise, they're there.
Right.
I don't think they have a coaching problem this season.
Nope.
Despite what people talk about Tommy Rees is not the problem.
Mm-mm. This
team has to have the mental fortitude to put a 60-minute performance together. And if they do that, Jake, they can beat anybody.
I agree, man. It's 60 minutes, like Sean just said. Mimi, I think this is the night that we put it all together. Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yep.
One game at a time. Let's win tonight first, no doubt.
Right.
Did we miss anything in the chat that needs to be? I'm scrolling through. I don't see anything else.
I don't see anything major.
All right, Jake. Let's see what's next. Let's do I guess MVP on offense for Alabama.
Okay. For me, I'm going with I'm going to go with man, I should have been thinking about this. I'm going to go with no. I'm going with Isaiah Bond. That's what I'm going to go with.
You.
Yeah. I feel like, he's due to have a big game. He had a couple catches and a big touchdown against Tennessee, but he hasn't had like an explosive game like he was having early on in the season. So I feel like he's due for a big game. So I'm going to go with Isaiah Bond.
All right. Y'all be ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
All the talk is about Jayden Daniels, and rightfully so. He's the best quarterback in the country. No questions out, bar none. Best quarterback in the country. Don't give me Caleb Williams. Don't give me Michael Penix. Jayden Daniels is playing like the best quarterback in the country.
I agree.
I think tonight is Jalen Milroe's coming out party.
Oh, please.
I think that, look, this LSU defense is not good, Jake. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. They're bad, actually. I think they're 84th in the country in defense.
They are.
I think with a week to prepare, his confidence is building. Tommy Rees understands what he does well, what he doesn't do well. I think you see a coming out party for Jalen Milroe. I'm going to throw some stats out here, Jake. I may be fanboying. I don't know. I feel like this could be a game where Milroe has 300 yards through the air and 100 yards on the ground.
Ooh.
And I think he kind of makes the statement that I am the guy. Don't worry. I'm getting better. And I can be the guy who takes Alabama back to the playoff. So I think it's a coming out party for Jalen Milroe tonight in Tuscaloosa. In one way I look at it, Jake, Milroe has been like a roller coaster all season. Right. One series is good, one series is bad. Then it turned out to, one quarter he's bad, one quarter he's good. Then he goes, well, hey, I'm going to play a good half, and then I'm going to play a bad half.
Right.
Well, he kind of put together, if you go back to that second half against Arkansas and the first half against Tennessee, that was 2 bad quarters against Arkansas and 2 bad quarters against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So he that's basically a full game of not playing good.
Right.
Then that second half against Tennessee, it's like it all clicked for him.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Tommy Rees were kind of, they were feeling it. They were in their bag in that second half.
Yep.
I think we see Milroe finally put that full 60-minute game together, and kind of like I said, he kind of cements himself as the dude for Alabama and the leader of this Alabama football team. So I'm going with Jalen Milroe. I think he has a career night against a very suspect defense and leads Alabama to victory and kind of has his coming out party.
You talking about the LSU defense, call a spade. Their number rose a few weeks ago when they shut out Army. So, I mean,
yeah.
They're a lot worse than that.
Jake, they gave up 701 yards to Ole Miss.
I know. Yeah.
700.
And we kept Ole Miss to the lowest total all season. And I think the lowest yardage all season.
Did Ole Miss even get 300 yards against Alabama? I think they had 301. I think 303 or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. So, I mean, defensive standpoint, it's not really good for LSU right now. Offensively, though, like you say with Jayden Daniels, they're elite.
They're going to make plays. Look, Alabama has a great defense, but if you think Jayden Daniels in this offense is not going to make plays, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Jake, defensively, who do you think is going to be the MVP for the Tide?
I'm going with Jaleel Campbell, man.
Jahai
Campbell. What did I get Jaleel at? Anyway, I'm thinking about anyway. So yeah, Campbell. I'm going with Jahai Campbell. There was a play. I think they did like a little wide receiver screen a few weeks ago. Again, Tennessee did against Alabama, and Campbell is in coverage. He's not even on the screen. And his closeout speed to get to the ball carrier is, I mean, that is incredible how fast that kid is, being the stature he is at linebacker. And So, I feel like he's going to have a big game. He's been all over the field. We talk about running sideline to sideline. We've been missing that. This kid can run sideline to sideline at linebacker, and having Lawson beside him. A lot of the focus is Lawson has had a great year as well. He's had a great year. When he come in on scene last year, so I'm sure people was going to be giving him a little bit of extra attention. Campbell's still new, so they're probably not worried about him as much. That's a recipe for disaster because this kid is really good. So I feel like he's going to have a big game.
I love that pick, and I probably would have went with him if you hadn't have picked him. But I'm going to go kind of a different route, Jake. I think one of the interior defensive linemen, bulldogs that offensive line for LSU this tonight, and I think somebody like Justin Aboybe or Tim Keenan could really cause a lot of issues for LSU, and maybe get a couple sacks in this game, with a push up the middle. And, they're worried about those two edge rushers and Chris Braswell. So, Jaden Daniels going to be trying to climb the pocket some. And I think Justin Aboybe, Tim Keenan, Jaheim Otis is going to have a big game and maybe get a couple key sacks on a third down situation and really make a lot of plays for this defense for Alabama.
I love that pick as well, man. Yeah, the defensive line has been playing.
But Average Joe says Kool-Aid. Ben Ross says Dallas Turner.
Yep.
Taron Arnold.
Yep.
Ronnie has an interesting 31-28 with a 50-yard field goal by Will Rocker with no time on the clock.
Ronnie, if it's that close, I'm gonna be in the hospital with a massive heart attack. I do not need a game that crazy. Yeah.
But all right, I guess with that. Oh, bold prediction time, Jake. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Give me. I kind of already give you my bold prediction with Jalen Milroe's stat line. So that's mine. So just give us yours.
Okay. So I starred a comment here just a while ago because Ben, he said this, that he feels like this is going to be his player of the game. Here's my bold prediction, and I said this to some friends at work yesterday. My bold prediction: Harold Perkins. They're going to try to get, they're going to put Perkins on Proctor, I feel like, a lot in this game to try to get that mismatch. Caden Proctor is going to handle Harold Perkins and dominate him all game tonight. Perkins is not going – he's still going to get his, but he's not going to make a huge impact like he normally does in ball games because I feel like Caden Proctor, talking about a guy who's been improving every single week, he had a great game against Tennessee, against that pass rush. You talk about Pierce. Pierce is mainly on Latham, but when he was moved over to the Proctor side, Proctor handled him really well. Caden Proctor's getting better, folks, and he's starting to show when he's a 5-star talent. I mean,
by the way, I love that bold prediction. By the way, J.C. Latham, y'all, has been.
Oh man,
I'll be honest with you. I think you could almost call him the offensive MVP so far this season.
I agree.
He don't give up nothing.
He don't.
He's a bulldog in the run game, and in pass protection. If he gets his hands on you, it's over.
It's over.
You're not going to overpower him.
Nope.
And he's quick enough that he rarely lets anybody get. I think he's given up 1 sack this season.
I think so. And that's it.
He has been incredible. And like I said, as of right now, I think you could point to him as the offensive MVP. I know that's weird, but I mean, that dude, I'll be honest with you, I always liked Latham, but I question whether or not he could be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft because he was a little bit inconsistent. Not bad inconsistent, but just a little bit inconsistent.
Right.
Jake, he's a stud. He is a stud.
I think he's a top 10 pick this year.
Yeah. There's a lot of good tackles this year in the draft.
There is.
But anyways. All right.
But I think Proctor's going to have another great game.
Love it.
I think the whole offensive line. You talk about Jaden Roberts. I mean, when he went down, when he got hurt last week, he was not putting any pressure.
It looked bad. I thought, yeah, he's done.
Yeah, and then he come back in the second half. I'm like, what the crap?
I wonder what that gave him. They had to give him a shot of something.
Yeah, I don't know, but that I feel like the offensive line. We talked about it, Stacey, how the offensive line gets better under Saban throughout the year. It's kind of sluggish the first half, but the second half it starts getting better. They start working out the kinks. You saw how good this offensive line can be and flashes. they put a really good game together, especially the second half last week against Tennessee. I really think that those first 3 plays coming out of the break, what was the turning point against Tennessee. I mean, we ran the ball 2 straight times, I think,
No, it was just 2 plays. It was
just
1
2 plays. That's
run
right.
and
One
then a
run was like,
bomb.
yeah, it's like 30-yard run or something, and then we threw the bomb. So, I mean, they did their part, and it looked really good. So they're getting better, guys, and this team is still improving offensively, and that's crazy being this late in the season that they're still getting better and honing their craft. They're not a finished product, and that's scary for college football.
No doubt about it. All right, time for score predictions, Jake, before we head out. And by the way, in the chat, please drop your score predictions. Ronnie's already done that and preparing Jake to go to the ER tonight. So please drop your score predictions there in the chat right now. And if you're watching the post-recorded version of this, drop your chat or your score prediction in the comment section. All right, Jake, let's hear it, buddy. How's this game going to play out, and what's the score?
I feel like it's going to be like a stalemate the first half. Both teams are, they get some yards against each other. But, I mean, let's just be honest. We've seen it all year with Alabama. They're a second-half team. They made the necessary adjustments. And then after halftime, it's all Alabama. And I feel like that's going to be this game as well. Jaden Daniels, we talked about him ad nauseum today because he's a great player, but I don't feel like he can do it all. He against Alabama especially. Now other teams he can do it all, but against Alabama he's got to have some guys to step up and make plays as well. I just feel like we got some very talented secondary guys like you mentioned. So we're going to shut down that passing attack a little bit. Jaden Daniels is going to have to make some plays with his legs, I feel like, and I think we can slow him down a little bit, especially the second half. And I feel like Alabama, like you mentioned, this offense is going to start rolling, and Milroe is going to have a huge game. And I feel like Alabama is going to win this game 35-17.
Ooh, holding them to 17 points.
I said that yesterday. I don't know why I said it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm overconfident, but I just feel like Alabama.
I wish I was that confident.
I know it's overconfidence probably, but I just believe in this team.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty close to you.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and forth on score prediction in this game. I mean, earlier in the week, I was saying, almost like Ronnie, 31-28, 34-30, something along those lines. But the more the week progresses, I'm just confident that this team figures it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust LSU's defense.
Yeah.
I trust Alabama's defense to make enough plays.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Jake, I think, like you mentioned, it could be a little close to begin with, but Alabama makes the necessary adjustments, pulls away. I think Alabama wins this game 38-23. And like I said, it's Jalen Milroe's coming out party. He is the talk of college football at about 10 p.m. tonight. I think he's the talk of college football. He kind of asserts himself as one of the premier quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference.
I love that, man. What's funny is some Heisman odds come out a few days ago, and he's got the same exact odds as Caleb Williams does at this point, and everybody laminates over Caleb Williams.
That's nuts.
It is. Of course, Caleb Williams, his stocks kind of come down a little bit because they're USC is showing us off on defense. I don't know. I mean, he's done everything he can, but that defense is garbage. But yeah, that's pretty cool that a lot of Bama fans have been really critical of Jalen Milroe this year, but yet he has the same exact odds right now as Caleb Williams, who everybody says is the best quarterback in the country. So,
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of that has to do with the other 21 starters on USC's team. not quite as much as for Caleb Williams, but
right.
All right, Jake, excited about the game tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ronnie mentioned the crowd needs to impact this game.
Yes.
No doubt about it. I think they did in the second half of Tennessee. It needs to be from start to finish. The crowd inside Bryant-Denny Stadium needs to make their presence felt tonight. So looking forward to the game. Cannot wait. Going to be a lot of fun. Like we said, we'll be live on the Bleacher Report app following the conclusion of the game. So make sure you download the Bleacher Report mobile app and find us there. We'll share the link on Twitter and Facebook as well. So if you need to find it there, you can find it there. So been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so much for those in the chat who communicated with us throughout the live show. If you're watching the recorded version, please jump in the comment section and let us know your thoughts as well. Cannot wait for 6:45 tonight. I think Alabama gets a big win and kind of takes a firm control of the SEC West here with just a few games remaining in the season. But for Stacey Blackwood and Jake Thomas, this has been Biscuits with Bama, powered by Tide Talk Live. We'll see you guys real soon. Until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.